Back in the day, to earn the public enemy #1 title, you would really have to fight for the title. And the man we are going to talk about today did that easily. Meet Machinegunkelly, born George Kelly Barnes in Memphis, Tennessee, who became one of the most feared criminals of his time. He started out as a bootlegger before turning to bank robberies and kidnappings. He created a reputation that would make him a household name and earn him the title of public enemy #1. This is the story of Machinegunkelly. Early life. George Kelly Barnes, better known today as Machinegunkelly, was born in Memphis, Tennessee on July 18, 1895. At the age of 19, he wed Geneva Ramsey and attended Mississippi A&M College before going on to become an infamous bank robber and kidnapper. After having 2 sons together, Kelly's life in bad company led to the couple's eventual decision to divorce and separate. While he was there, he became acquainted with other bank robbers, including Charlie Harmon, Frank Nash, Francis Keating, and Thomas Holden. It is believed that he assisted Holden and Keating in their escape from custody. Do you ever wonder how a man with a conventional upbringing ends up becoming one of the most notorious criminals in history? In a latter section of the video, we delve into the formative years of George R. Kelly and how his choices during his school years, his first marriage, and early jobs led him down a path of crime and infamy. Keep watching to learn about the unexpected twists and turns that shaped the life of one of America's most infamous gangsters.
Revealed the crazy fact.
Reputation. Not to be confused with celebrity Megan Fox's musician boyfriend, George Kelly Barnes was a notorious felon who, during his lifetime, was better known by his moniker Machinegunkelly. He was a prominent American mobster who was considered one of the worst criminals ever. He was an unorthodox criminal who attempted to establish a reputation for himself, either through the criminal activities he engaged in himself or through the media exposure he earned for those activities. His entire life was marked by scandal, and he was never one to shy away from it. In fact, he frequently sought out the attention of the media. He was a man who was feared and admired at the same time. Although he was a criminal, he was sometimes regarded as a gentleman. He was a man of contradictions, as he'd not allow himself to be confined by the norms of society and instead worked hard to carve out his own way through life. If you're like me, you must be thinking right now how impossible it is for such meager acts to make an innocent young man a hardcore criminal. Let's get into his school life, through his life in the job market, and entry into marital commitments to see if we'll find answers to clear these doubts.
What a pity.
School, jobs, and first marriage. Kelly's formative years as a child were rather uneventful, and he was brought up in a conventional family environment. In 1917, he enrolled at Mississippi State University to pursue a degree in agriculture, and this marked the beginning of his struggle. His academic performance was subpar, and the highest grade he ever received was a C+. He was in constant violation of the rules and had to complete extra chores in order to clear his record. It was that time he met Geneva Ramsey, and on a whim, he made the decision to forego his college education and marry her. In order to provide for his family of 4 in Memphis, where he lived with his partner and their 2 children, he drove a cab. Despite this, he was unable to earn enough money to keep supporting his family. Thus, he had to quit his job. He teamed up with a low-level criminal and started working as a bootlegger as a last-ditch effort to improve his financial situation. His new employment secured his financial future and brought him prominence in the criminal underworld. As he was arrested multiple times in 1927, he decided to change his identity to George R. Kelly to safeguard his family's honor back in Ireland. He was arrested and given long-term imprisonment. We'll share with you the dramatic events that led to his arrest and conviction.
Tough guy. Thinks he's a tough guy.
Following his first marriage, George got acquainted with another woman who was already the spouse of his ally. From this point, the image of the Machinegunkelly we know today would start to be carved. Let's get into it.
I made a mistake.
KATHRYN Kelly. Upon his release from the New Mexico State Penitentiary in 1929, where he had served another lengthy jail sentence, Kelly relocated to Oklahoma City, where he became acquainted with Steve Anderson, a low-level bootlegger, KATHRYN THORNE, who was Anderson's alluring companion, had a history of criminal activity. She was charged with a variety of offenses, including robbery and prostitution, during her time in jail. She had been married twice before, the second time being to Charlie Thorne, who was later found dead from what was believed to be a suicide. Soon after being together, Kelly and Thorne became inseparable as a pair, and in September of 1930, they tied the knot in Minneapolis. Before he began his relationship with Thorne, Kelly had a history of committing petty crimes. But while under the influence of Thorne, he began to commit more significant transgressions, which would eventually lead to him being labeled the public enemy number 1. Thorne presented her husband with a machine gun that she had purchased for him and encouraged him to train with it. It is believed that she was the one who created the Machinegunkelly image and was the mastermind behind the successful bank robberies that Kelly carried out in Texas and Mississippi. She also appears to have been the creator of the Machinegunkelly video game. Kelly was described as an expert machine gunner on wanted posters that the FBI distributed in August of 1933. This caused a commotion among the public, which contributed to Kelly's eventual immortalization in the annals of history.
That woman is a woman!
If you're interested in exploring the fascinating world of true crime and learning about the notorious criminals that have captured the public's imagination over the years, then this channel is the perfect place for you. We delve deep into the lives of some of the most infamous figures in criminal history, uncovering their motivations and the circumstances that led them down a path of crime. Be sure to hit that subscribe button.
Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.
The kidnapping. One of Oklahoma's wealthiest couples, Mr. and Mrs. Charles F. Urschel, were playing bridge with their friends, Mr. and Mrs. Walter R. Jarrett, at their Oklahoma City home at 11:15 p.m. on Saturday, July 22, 1933. Two guys suddenly forced open the screen door, one brandishing a machine gun and the other a handgun, and demanded to know which of the two men was Mr. Urschel. After warning the women not to ask for assistance, they marched Urschel and Jarrett to their car. Mrs. Urschel immediately contacted FBI Director J. Edgar Hoover. Special agents were dispatched to Oklahoma City, where they launched a thorough investigation. On July 23, 1933, at 1 in the morning, Jarrett was able to return to the Urschel home. He claimed the abductors had traveled 12 miles outside the city before turning right onto a rural road parallel to the 23rd Street Highway. The kidnappers snatched $50 from Jarrett's wallet before releasing him at an intersection after crossing a short bridge and ordered him not to divulge their whereabouts. After that, he claimed, the automobile headed south. Following the kidnapping, many anonymous leads and tips were sent in from all over the U.S., but only a small fraction of them was actually useful. It was necessary to look into each of them.
Police investigations.
Bank robberies. Upon his release from prison in 1930, Kelly traveled to St. Paul, Minnesota, with his longtime sweetheart KATHRYN Thorne. Later that year in the fall, the two went ahead and tied the knot. After arrival, he immediately made contact with Keating and Holden, and together, the three of them participated in a bank heist. After that, he continued his criminal activities by participating in bank robberies around the country, including those in Iowa, Texas, and Washington. According to the tales, Kelly's wife was a major contributor to the development of his reputation. She is said to have purchased a machine gun for him and given him the same name as the firearm. Additionally, it is stated that she helped promote her husband's reputation by giving shells obtained from his axe to other people to preserve as mementos. His arrest. While the raid took place, KATHRYN Kelly's mother, Ora Shannon, and her family were residing on a ranch in the vicinity of Paradise. On August 12th, authorities caught Shannon, her spouse, and the man's son. On the same day as the kidnapping, Barnes was arrested in Denver, Colorado, for a charge that was unrelated to the kidnapping. However, he was found to be in possession of funds related to the kidnapping. Despite this, the Kellys were successful in evading capture for a period of time, which lasted until they were found in Memphis, Tennessee on September 26, 1933, at which point they were put into custody. Both defendants were found guilty after a short trial, and their life sentences were handed down on October 12th of this year. The renowned Kelly, whose name was mocked in the media as Pop Gun Kelly, was eventually moved to the famed Alcatraz prison in California, where Al Capone was also incarcerated at the time.
Arrested.
His death. The final years of Kelly's life were spent behind bars at the federal prison in Leavenworth, Kansas. Kelly suffered a heart attack on the 18th of July, 1954, which ultimately led to his death at the age of 59. He had been afflicted with heart illness for a considerable time before his departure. In spite of his reputation, Kelly had transformed himself into a model prisoner, earning the respect of both his fellow inmates and the employees at the facility. Kelly had already spent more than 20 years behind bars at the time of his passing away. Despite his intense desire to do so, he was never allowed to see the outside world. His remains were interred in the cemetery of Cottondale, Texas, and Kelly's name is commemorated on a plaque located in the memorial garden of the facility. A great number of songs, movies, and television productions, such as Machinegunkelly, 1958, The FBI Story, 1959, and Melvin Purvis, G-Man, 1974, have been written, produced, and inspired by Kelly's life and death. People are still enthralled by his narrative because it's about wrongdoing, punishment, and finding redemption. For some enthusiasts and fans, Kelly is regarded as an educated and lovely man who was frequently misinterpreted, despite the fact that he had a criminal past. Name will be remembered throughout the annals of criminal history.
He was a bad man.
Before we draw this video to a close, we'd like to recommend one video that has got many mystery lovers stuck in awe. It's about the crime underworld, the many crimes that went unsolved even by the FBI. Organized crime has been a pervasive problem throughout history, and even today, criminal organizations like the Five Crime Families continue to pose a significant challenge to law enforcement agencies. 3 of the many unsolved mysteries surrounding these crime families stand out as particularly compelling. Our video, Top 3 Unsolved Mysteries Till Date in the Five Crime Families, delves into the history of these infamous organizations and explores some of the most puzzling cases that still baffle investigators to this day. By examining the tactics and strategies used by these criminal organizations, we hope to shed light on the ongoing fight against organized crime and develop effective solutions for combating this persistent threat to society. Thank you for watching.